You have heard me say time and again that post-election, post-halving February has historically been bullish. During the 2021 bull run, Bitcoin dominance dropped from 64% in February to 40% by May. In that same period, Solana went from $4 to $50, pulling off an 11x, while Dogecoin exploded to a 25x. This marked the start of a mega alt season where even a monkey with a dart could outperform Murad. At the moment, the overall sentiment in the crypto space about alt season is at rock bottom. The doomers are gripped by fear, doubting if an alt season will ever materialize. Yet, the moment the market shows a green candle, these same people will turn bullish and declare that the greatest alt season in history has just begun, with mouths wide open. I've gathered loads of data for a level-headed analysis of all possible outcomes. I'll present a data-backed argument for both a strong alt season and the worst-case scenario where we have to settle for a pre-owned Lambo. To wrap it up, I'll also share how I manage bleeding altcoins in my portfolio. As always, drop a like to support the channel and subscribe if you haven't already. Big thanks to everyone who voted for this topic on YouTube and Twitter. If you're new here, Decoder Fam decides what we cover. Alright, let's dive in. Out of all the alt season theories, we'll focus on the two most talked about. Alt season soon or alt season cancelled. If you've watched my previous videos, you know I firmly believe we'll see an alt season. But am I completely dismissing the possibility that it won't happen? Not at all. It's important to stay rational, keep an open mind, and always have a plan B. First, let me address the arguments that claim this is a Bitcoin-only cycle. After that, I'll present my counterpoints. At the peak of the 2021 cycle, Bitcoin's market cap was around $1.3 trillion and altcoins' total market cap was roughly the same. Since then, Bitcoin's market cap has risen by 54%, now standing at $2 trillion. Meanwhile, the altcoin market cap has barely changed, it's essentially flat. Bitcoin and altcoins' market caps moved pretty much in sync for a long time. That is, until they started to decouple in early 2024, right after the Bitcoin ETF approval. A big reason for Bitcoin's growing dominance is the rise of institutional investors. As of January 29th, these funds are managing around $40 billion in assets, which is pretty massive. However, they haven't shown much interest in Ethereum yet. I say yet, because I believe that will change once quantitative easing kicks in. I'll get into that later. Another argument against the idea of an alt season is extreme market dilution. With thousands of shitcoins flooding the market daily, there's just less liquidity to pump all our bags. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong recently tweeted about this, suggesting a new approach to exchange listings in the US. There's also the issue of diminishing returns, where we see smaller gains with each cycle. As the asset class grows in value, it takes more liquidity to move prices and the potential multiples get smaller. Some are speculating that Ethereum will continue to bleed against Bitcoin, which could hurt the chances of an alt season. Ethereum has dropped 64% against Bitcoin since 2022, and the chart looks pretty grim. There was an interesting comment from KZia in the previous video. Its lackluster performance doesn't have a single explanation. Layer 1 blockchains like Solana have taken a chunk of its market share, as most projects now prefer launching on Solana due to its scalability and lower gas fees. Ethereum's high transaction costs and slower speeds compared to newer blockchains like Solana have made it less attractive for developers. On top of that, delays in Ethereum's upgrades and development have been major criticisms. These slow progressions have made Ethereum less competitive, allowing other chains to capture the attention of both developers and investors. And of course, the constant dumping of ETH by the Ethereum Foundation doesn't help. Leadership changes within the Ethereum Foundation and internal disagreements about the project's roadmap are likely shaking investor confidence as well. Now, let's move to the positive side and my overall thesis for an alt season. I might sound like a broken record, but the crypto market thrives when the printers are running. Right now, we're still in the quantitative tightening phase, and we need at least a pause in that before we can see a full-blown alt season. The 2017 bull run took place during a neutral liquidity phase, where the Fed had stopped expanding QE but hadn't started aggressively tightening liquidity yet. Of course, the ICO mania added fuel to the fire, but a neutral liquidity phase is enough to spark an alt season. The 2021 bull run, on the other hand, was driven by massive QE and stimulus due to the pandemic. Liquidity was at an all-time high, making risk assets like crypto super attractive. The rally ended when the Fed signaled the start of QT and rate hikes in late 2021, which created a risk-off environment. During the FOMC presser on the 29th, Powell didn't give any clear indication about their QE plans. Based on his overall reaction, it doesn't seem like we'll see QE until the end of 2025 at best. But as I mentioned earlier, even a pause and tightening would be enough to set things in motion. So what comes next? Those who claimed it's a Bitcoin-only cycle might soon have to eat their words. I expect institutional investors to start piling into Ethereum in a risk-on environment. We could even see altcoin ETFs for coins like Solana, XRP, and others. Liquidity will start flowing into these altcoins, and that's when the alt season will kick off. As I've mentioned several times, Ethereum performing well is absolutely crucial for the broader altcoin market. That's where the liquidity is. Right now, Ethereum total value locked is at 54%, which is significant. Vitalik taking more control is definitely a step in the right direction for Ethereum and its future. Market dilution is a valid point, especially with the rise of pump.fun coins. But if you take a look at most of these coins, they're essentially at zero anyway. Sure, there are more legit projects now competing for liquidity than in the 2021 cycle, but the asset class has grown significantly and liquidity will grow with it. Most of the liquidity will likely be concentrated in the top 100 or 200 projects at best. So that's my thesis for an alt season. Alt season isn't cancelled. It just needs the right conditions, and a shift in liquidity could set it off sooner than most expect. Alright, let's quickly go over how I handle bleeding altcoins in my portfolio. In fact, let me show you a visual of it. On a serious note, I mostly hodl. Dumps don't bother me because I have a plan and I stick to it. It's crucial to plan your exit before you even enter a position. There's no universal strategy for managing bleeding altcoins once you get sucked into the black hole of shitcoins. But you can avoid that situation with this simple plan. Before buying a coin, set your targets for multiples. Gradual profit taking is usually better than fixating on a single price. Also, decide upfront how much loss you're willing to tolerate. If you're fine with a 50 to 60% drawdown, hold it until invalidation. But if it drops beyond that, be bold and take the L and move on. Don't move the goalpost just because some influencer calls it the greatest thing ever. They don't know your financial situation. Maybe they got a free allocation and are just pumping their own bags. You never really know. I've got plenty of red positions myself, and I'm always transparent about it. Unlike most influencers, I don't just share my winners. But I'm okay holding these bags because even if they go to zero, it won't hurt my portfolio much. That's the result of taking calculated risks and keeping my allocation to risky bets small. On the flip side, don't forget to take profits when your coins are pumping. During rallies, most influencers will tell you we're going much higher, because that's exactly what you want to hear when everything is green. Nobody likes being told to sell. I saw this firsthand. When I had under 300 subscribers, I created a bull run playbook video that played out almost perfectly. Then, when things got overheated in November, I followed the playbook and posted a video saying I sold some positions into Bitcoin, also mentioning I was rotating out of underperforming assets. As expected, that video didn't get much attention. A few days later, altcoins took a major hit while Bitcoin held up better. Always remember to take profit instead of a screenshot. To summarize, have a plan before buying and stick to it. Set profit-taking targets and determine your loss limit in advance. Avoid blindly holding just because influencers hype a coin. Take profits when prices pump, as the market punishes hesitation. This way you're better prepared to handle bleeding altcoins. Well, that's it from me. I will see you in the next one.